Welcome back, everyone, to the NALCS Summer Split. I am Rivington Bisson III, and stepping up to the plate for our second match of the day is Isaac Azale Cummings. Bentley, good to see you again. It's been a while.
It's good to be back.
Heck
Summer
yeah.
Split, I'm hyped.
We just forgot from Brazil, now we're here, now more LCS. We just had a crazy best of three, and we are jumping into our second match of the day, Immortals versus Phoenix1. So let's dive right into the roster rundown. On the blue side, it is going to be Immortals. That means we will have Flame coming into the top lane. Now in the jungle for Immortals is Zick Smithy. Pobelter at mid, Cody Sun at bot lane with support Ole and Coach Song.
And on the red side today, it's their opponents. It's gonna be Phoenix1. In the top lane, Zig. In the jungle, Inori. Mid lane, Ryu. Bot laner, Arrow with support Shady and Coach Fly.
So we got Phoenix1 coming pretty hot off of last split. We saw how strong they were after missing out on playoffs. Immortals made a change in hopes of repeating their 2016 success.
Yeah, back when they still had, Hooney and Rainover, it's a very different roster, and missing out on the playoffs, they wanted to shake some things up.
Yeah.
And, they lost Dardoch, they gained a Smithy. Dardoch was the reason that they won a lot of games, but he was also the reason that they lost a lot of games because he often made the game about him. He was either going to carry or he was going to lose doing it. And with Smithy, you have a different beast. This guy is willing to play a more supportive style. He's reunited with Pobelter, who he won a championship with, and their bot lane in Ole and Cody Sun really improved massively throughout the split. So I'm very interested with a jungler who's not going to be making the game so much about him, win or lose. Can that bot lane step up and really become a carry?
Absolutely. The synergy as well. We'll see the teammates being back together. We'll get into later, and we'll see if they can carry against Phoenix1, who return after, as we said, winning third place that match in Vancouver. So coming back hot.
Yeah, and it means they're going to be one of North America's representatives at Rift Rivals because they have locked in that third place seed. So it's going to be NAEU. They'll get their chance to play internationally there. And after a split of uncertainty with the roster, constantly swapping it out their junglers, swapping out their supports, it seemed, kind of random at times almost.
Right. Absolutely.
Shady would be losing, Stun would be winning, but they'd swap it anyway. They landed on Inori and Shady for their starter, so they've locked down their roster. And despite Shady getting some criticism because he had a much worse record than Stunt, he did have to play against very difficult opponents like C9 and TSM, which P1 never really beat anyone.
Yeah, and didn't have very many games at that, so the synergy was only slowly growing with Shady. So we'll have to see what they can do getting into game. We're almost into Champion Select, a second game. I hope we get another best of three. That first one continued to test the teams here, and that's what we need at the beginning of the split, to push the teams to the limit, so nothing is left to chance. We will see Ivern being banned out here as both junglers a little far away with Ivern.
Yeah, and it's going to be really interesting because anytime you're coming into a new meta, start of the new split, summer split, it's a new patch, each team is going to have their own idea on what's strongest, on what really they should be playing and shouldn't be playing. So Pick a Man can be very different from series to series. For Phoenix1, this is a season that they're looking to build on a lot of success in the spring split. They were solidly the third place team. They finished third. They pretty much always lost to TSM and C9, but by the end, they looked like they were always going to win against the teams below them. And people, want to see them continue to grow. You want to see P1 continue to improve and look to challenge those top two spots. So they're going to need to show that consistency here today, show that they still have the strength to take down teams like Immortals who were quite a bit below them in standings.
Absolutely. When we think of that, we look towards their picks on Ziggs. For him to make a big play, or Ryu doing that, it needs to, for sure, come from everybody from now. A lot of star players would show up for Phoenix1, but if that team can come together, I think we'll get that team that does consistently beat C9 TSM. Ban phase 1 finally ending. Let's see what these guys have for each other. Nidalee ban as well.
Yeah, Nidalee is something that had been picking up a little bit more popularity in the new patch. At least, one of the best early game junglers. Inori obviously still has access to a plethora of picks. We've seen Kha'Zix, he was always a big Rengar guy, though it has fallen a bit out of the meta. There are a lot of answers. You also can play a lot more of the tank-type junglers. We've seen things like Gragas. Zac is one who's getting banned out a lot. There's still things like Olaf. So a lot of options, and we're going to have to see which direction they're going to try to take their composition in.
The Elise is picked up for Smithy, more down towards the bottom of his list of junglers, but it's a nice and safe pick in for him. Be early in the jungle, or aggressive early, I should say, in the jungle if he wants. And the Karma, shields already coming in for Phoenix1. The Kha'Zix answer from Inori, so junglers have been picked.
And the Kha'Zix is someone who can match that aggression from Elise. Obviously, it's hard to team fight, I would say, late game on a Kha'Zix because you're so squishy when you dive in. You're very vulnerable to being picked off. But that said, with the Evolve W, that is really the playstyle that has kind of been adapted to for most professional players. You get that Evolve W, you spam that out, you have poke, you have wave clear, and that's really the contribution you kind of bring towards the mid and late game team fights until you're willing to jump in and try to trade out your life.
And much more Caitlyn love on the Rift as of late. Gets protection from the Lulu, so making sure that shields can't be combined here between those combos.
And Caitlyn is very strong, and with the crit items getting buffed since last season, that's something that did really help her out quite a lot. That said, especially in some other regions, we've really been seeing the rise of popularity of things like Twitch, of things like Kog'Maw, because with the new Doran shield, you can actually survive in lane a lot more easily. You have a lot more ability to take that poke against someone like a Caitlyn, and then you can get to a point where you're stronger than that Caitlyn on Twitch and Kog'Maw and some of these hyper carries.
Just gonna play it slow in the early game anyway, so it doesn't really matter if you have to take that shield. Looks like Arrow is calling for assistance from the LCS refs for a moment.
Pickerman's going to continue for now, though, and Varus is going to be what Arrow wants to play. So, Varus, I feel like the ultimate can be very powerful as a primary engage, but generally speaking, it works a lot better as a follow-up engage because that ultimate can be very difficult to hit. So if you bring in someone like, Gragas in the top lane or someone who can kind of set them up, ult someone into that Varus ultimate, it's really strong as a follow-up. So I'm going to look to see them drafting something like that because when you look at the Phoenix 1 side right now, it's not really a lot of CC in this composition.
Seems like Arrow was just talking to Coach. We'll see if they can lock in that CC. As you said, they have a bit of that chain of corruption, but not for sure. Not a consistent lockdown. And I think most Varus players will know that. Galio getting taken away as well as a LeBlanc. We see that Renekton that has had a few games played recently. Zig could be going on to that Jarvan, but the Shen is also could be help for global pressure here on the side of P1.
Yeah, and Shen can be delivered by that Kha'Zix. It allows you to jump in more aggressively because you have the Shen backing you up, the Stand United shield there too. So that is a pretty nice combo. Going to give them some more CC coming out of that top lane. That said, Fiora is actually on the table here. Flame is someone who has played that before. I'm not sure if he's going to have the confidence to go for it. It looks like he won't. He's going to lock in the Jarvan. Still a fine matchup and going to be a great combination with the Orianna in particular because you lock them in with Catalysm. They can throw down that Shockwave. And, for someone like Varus, if you don't have your flash, there's no escaping that.
Shock in, pop up. You're going to have the Lulu Wild Growth on Cody, or not Cody-san, but Flame as well after that. What will Ryu choose? Can start weaving some walls if he decides to go with this. It helps with the Shen. They can still get in on any deep dives, but it will be the Ahri, so he has a way out of that engage if he does go in.
Definitely seems like a very heavy dive composition here for Phoenix 1. Had they gone with the Tilia, it kind of would have made more sense as far as 1-3-1, be able to catch people inside lanes, things like this. But this composition is a lot of dive. You have to be able to zero someone out very quickly. But Lulu and Orianna, with double shields, with that polymorph, it can be pretty difficult to actually make that happen sometimes. So we'll see if Phoenix 1 is going to be able to execute on that because you have to be on point with those engages if you go for them.
Immortals as well was a team that could do well if they got an early game, controlled the lead, got Pobelter going, as well as Flame. We talked a little bit about that synergy of Xmithie and Pobelter now back on the same team. We'll see if that comes into play as they have the crowd control to make that work. And Flame did take that aggressive top laner, so we may get some damage down onto Zig to start things off.
And we saw earlier in the day, pretty consistently people going on these kind of bruiser type champions in the top lane, going for things like Black Cleaver into Titanic Hydra, and you can build the Gargoyle Stoneplate as that third item because you've already built up quite a bit of HP. You don't have the resistances, but the active is going to give you that 4 seconds of very, very tanky stats. And that's pretty powerful.
Just being a beast, diving in. It seems like it's a lot of what this meta consists of is going in, but also needing a way to get out. Gargoyle Stoneplate just plays beautifully to that, synergizing with what the guys have to do.
Yeah, especially in combination with someone like J4, who so much of his burst is front-loaded, so you can flag and drag in, you drop the ultimate, you put down as much damage as possible, and then you instantly are going to pop the Gargoyle Stoneplate after that when you really don't have much more damage coming. So some of these new tank items have been very effective, and it's pretty interesting to see them kind of incorporated into the builds here in the LCS.
All right, we are on to the Rift for game 2 of the split here in the summer. Immortals versus Phoenix1. We'll see, as we said, Phoenix1 off that 3rd place finish in the spring split. Look to continue some dominance here as Immortals with a roster change and acquiring Xmithy. If they can start things off on the right foot.
Actually, not too many Doran shields, really. This game, only 2, not bad. And I think that this is actually pretty smart from Cody-san. I mean, we'll see if I get proven wrong. If you eat too much poke, then the Doran shield is better. But if you are going to be the aggressor in the lane, if you are the one poking and not receiving it, then something like the Doran's Blade can be the more powerful item. So I do think that sometimes people kind of over-index on the item and they just take it blindly in all matchups when I don't really think it's 100% necessary. And if you have a heavily advantage 2v2 matchup, you could go with something like the Doran's Blade.
Right. We'll see. Looks like they're going to keep him out of lane for a bit. No minions to be missed, obviously. They're just toying around with vision and the Raptor wards to go down.
Yeah, and Nori looking like he is going to start at Raptors. Likely both junglers will. And you can just get a leash, a Q from both the Orianna and the Ahri. Will make things pretty easy for those junglers, but a lot of early poke already down there for P1 onto Ole. Can't base now.
I love the fact that everybody's running the ignites as well with the hit on exhaust recently. It's just more, why not ignite? Even just cleanse for Pobelter to reuse ignite. With so many assassins in the game, usually you see one of those exhausts.
Yeah, especially against someone like the Ahri, who is a pretty easy exhaust target. That's something that can really hurt you. And Ole taking a lot of damage here in the early stages of the lane is very impactful, because this is a lane where they want to be aggressive. They want to use that kill threat with the Ignite, with this Caitlyn, push them in and poke them out and threaten to kill. But if you take too much damage early on, it really can kind of limit your ability to do that.
Nicely benefits a Varus and a Karma as well, the 2 slows they can provide. Get a focus resolve into that hail of arrows. You have a long lane to chase down this team. Quick flag and drag just outside of turret range. Nicely done to get his passive in as well. Flame puts Zig under the turret. Shouldn't be too much trouble to start things off.
Yeah, it's a nice trade for Flame, but Shen is one of those champions that's very happy to get pushed in because it's so easy to farm under turret with the bonus damage from your Q. Even though it did get some nerfs in a recent patch, it's still pretty darn easy. So you're going to be comfortably farming there, and Flame could get a little bit of advantage, but you don't expect a Shen to ever fall too far behind a matchup like this.
I'm interested to see what Flame can do on somebody like Jarvan, though. We see him kind of in the spring split being one to take Camille. We said the Fiora was also up, and on both teams, they have champion pools that go so deep for Zig, Flame, Pobelter, Ryu. It's interesting to see back on damage what Flame will be able to do here.
Yeah, exactly, and it's kind of, if you have the lane control, how do you turn that into an advantage for your team? Some players will stick in lane and will try to harass under turret. Some players will try to dive. Other players, you can just push in and then roam. Always threaten to invade into the jungle and take camps away with your jungler. Threaten that 2v1. So there's multiple ways that you can kind of exert your dominance in a lane, and we'll see what he's going to try to go for. Nice trade.
AD, or bot for bot, support on support. Nicely done there, and the focus is a bit of a trade win there for Immortals, as they now get pushed into their turret. 22-21, and we're just about evening up on this wave. Jungler bottom pressure is coming in here from Inori, but ever so slowly as Xmithy was talking.
And Cody-san is actually taking quite a bit of poke, but having the Warlord's Bloodlust, he is going to have a fair bit of healing from that and should be okay. Inori's going to have to bail out, as he did get spotted on those Krugs.
Good call from the team as well, missing bot lane. And to care for danger.
Yeah, and basically what that does, although it's not the biggest of deals, it means Smithy took away one extra camp, and Smithy kind of has his free reign of options. He knows where Kha'Zix was. He knows Kha'Zix, was likely going to go topside because his bot side camps were already cleared. So you can infer a lot of information from just seeing the jungler in a place like that, and it can help you to plan your next routes and maybe get an edge for the Immortals jungler.
Let's see what happens when level 6 comes up. Cody-san, Ole have to be very cognizant of the fact that this Shen is on the side of P1. You easily get taken down for a double kill in the bot lane.
Yeah, I mean, that could be the option, right? Wait till level 6, wait till you have a pretty powerful spike there. And if you can land, that Shen taunt, you have the Kha'Zix coming down, you can easily roam your Ahri down, you can do 4 or 5 man bot pretty quickly. And that could be something that they look to do, because I'm always much more of a fan of proactive Shen plays rather than just saving the ultimate for defense. You know, it's so much better to constantly use that ability, because if you use the Stand United, they match with the teleport. Now you have TP advantage. So if you constantly make the plays, you end up having that global advantage, and they're looking for a play now.
A little too far forward. It's not going to even be a level 6. Cody-san flashes out. The heal is there as well. Both summoners held by Ole on this one. And they are able to push back. Shady did use Ignite, so 3 down on the bot lane.
And Cody-san, both summoners down, so if they want to go for that level 6, it's now that much easier, because Shen is going to hit 6 at a timing where there's no summoners on the Caitlyn. Smithy now is here to cover his bot lane, so at the very least they can push in safely. He'll just start this recall, and he'll be here in case anything happens, but he doesn't want the wave to get frozen against his bot lane, so Cody-san gets the final CS, will have a good buy, and that's just smart play from Smithy.
One of my favorite types of plays there. You play on the safe advantage the other team feels they have, and sweep the rug right up from under their feet when they go in. Arrow and Shady both a little low on mana, so they choose to stay back, and nothing comes. Xmithie, however, was not really seen throughout those plays, so he still has a bit of fog of war to play with in the jungle, and can get himself pathed into a good situation. 6.5 minutes in, no real lead on any side of the map. Xmithie's been twice top, I believe, but haven't really seen the pressure out there. Flame and Zig just kind of going at it themselves.
Yeah, for the most part, the junglers have been content to kind of just try to steal away what camps they can. You know, they both have their trackers now, so a lot of it is just about knowing where the other jungler is for your team, so your matchups can be played properly. You can't actually play your winning matchup to win if you don't know where the jungler is. So that's a lot of what these guys are trying to do.
Oh, call this a little bit of a roam here by Ole.
They are on a ward.
Yeah, they're hatching that one.
And this is a lane swap top to try to get the first turret very early on here. We do see Karma roaming up to top, and P1 are going to match. So IMT have gotten the earlier back. They got the BF sword. They're getting a lot of damage down on this turret. And this is something that has kind of developed with the new patch changes here as well. And even just that move gets them ahead on the turret.
Oh, patch changes. It developed with GAM. Gigabyte Marines. No. But they look like they have the upper hand on this. Good push to the top side. They can rinse and repeat, especially with Cody-san's summoners down. They get him out of lane. They get him with more support, put him in a lane where that won't be as much of a trouble. And they may set themselves up for some first turret coming up soon.
Yeah, and they're just going to, right again, swap right back. They base. Now they're going to head bot, and they're going to try to keep doing this. Just kind of keep ahead of the curve, basically, with P1. So P1 cannot match their roams, cannot match their lane swap. And if you can do this, you really do get momentum, and you can keep that tempo going, and hopefully eventually for them result in getting that first turret.
So in a perfect solution then, if you're P1 and you have a top-down vision like we do, what is the stopper here if the other team is rotating all around? Do you have to deep wards? Do you just have to kind of take a guess and dive in a fight?
I mean, I think there's a number of options, but we may see a dive here, so we're going to have to wait for that.
Oh, it's Smithy onto Zig. Pretty tanky. Going to be able to call Spirit's Refuge forward to save himself a little bit more. His team will start to take resources top, but this might be the turret trade that Immortals was finally looking for.
Yeah, it should be. 4-man bot. This is very well executed from Immortals. Very good macro play. They're going to get that first turret. They force Zig back, but you know, to your point, there's a number of different options. You can either, as they're basing, move your members top and try to 4-man push that turret as they have gone back to base and try to get it faster before they can get bot and do it to you.
Yeah.
You can also, like, in advance, keep 1-man top. In this case, Arrow would have stayed top. Support and jungle would have gone bot, and you try to defend there with, say, 3v4, while your ADC is free pushing top. So you can get advantages, but they don't know exactly where the team is, and they were not anticipating those moves.
And that
so
wrong call puts you even farther behind.
Yeah, it's Infernal as well. So really, they're getting everything in. And a lot of this is early game planning and just better map movement from Immortals.
A few more items coming in. Mainly still that slot open for these vision wards here on the side of Immortals that they'll able to be continuously putting down. And a big thing about it I always like to see as well is that those are able to be guarded as well. They aren't just placed down to have that vision and then walk away.
And one of the costs now that we are seeing from this, like despite the first turret gold, P1 is actually up in gold, largely because of the amount of time.
Ooh. At least they made it fast.
Yeah, Ole's going to go down. And I mean, Cody-san had fallen behind in farm because he had been moving around the map so much, and Arrow had just sat in one lane and farmed. And now that they got the kill as well, they're actually opening up a pretty big gold lead for themselves. Still, the Infernal Dragon is in Immortals' favor, but P1 did end up coming out pretty well.
Very interesting place to die. It caught us off guard even for first blood. All these turrets on the outside ring are down except for mid here. I should say all, the mid and buy. So you have Ole that far up by himself. A little scary. Pobelter now in mid here. Does have Xmithy on the bot side, but Ryu hovers top, showing mainly wards, and vision is there.
This is one of those things where really it's like, can you get more out of early gold right now, and can P1 get an advantage from that small gold lead that they have? Or does Immortals kind of just make the game go a little bit slower? Because later you get into the game, the better the Infernal gets, right? So that is going to be worth more than the 700 or whatever gold lead that there is. When you go 15, 20 minutes into the game, it becomes worth a lot more. But right now, P1 is more powerful, and it's kind of about if they can actually get something done with that. Because Arrow has a full completed item, and on that Blade of the Rune King, you're pretty strong. So you're looking to try to fight this Caitlyn, who wants to get to the kind of 2-item power spike at least.
Immortals hopes to play around that power with these wards they've bought. Cody-san only getting a few shots on the turret. Wild Growth Flash as well. Looks like a lot used in defense. And it's going to be a push in the fight. Rotation from Ryu could be caught out by Pobelter. Little 1v1 in the jungle over a Vision ward. Pretty scary stuff.
Trade of Summoners, I'd still say pretty good for P1. Yes, they spend the Shen Ultimate and the Nori Flash, but they get both Summoners off that AD carry. So now you can look to force that play again. Flame doesn't have his DP, Zig still does, and that's something that they can kind of continue to try to set up and try. You know, you have an extra objective now, so they can try to force this around the Rift Herald, knowing J4 does not have a TP and Shen does. We'll see if they can actually pull this off, though, because Immortals is aware of it.
That ward, there's two behind. There's one actually in front right on Ole. Ryu rather getting hit up pretty hard. Pobelter just around the corner. Shockwave is up as P1 has to stay split. It's been the coast-to-coast walk from Flame, calling in the teleport now from Zig. They're going to meet each other as well. Nori is waiting for his teammate before they do anything as they all eye the Rift Herald. It's going in the favor of Immortals. They turn on to Flame for the for sure kill, but is it for sure? And who gets Rift Herald? That goes over to Xmithy.
And no one has actually picked it up yet. They smited it away, but Immortals now need to push them back, and they will get the Rift Herald in a pretty crazy fight.
Was not snuffed out by P1. They could not gain control. And what a rotation by Immortals as well, calling the teleport up from Zig as Flame walked it over.
Yeah, I mean, P1, you know, they had the TP advantage, but they didn't actually force the play fast enough for it to matter, because Flame was able to walk the whole way up and still arrive. You know, they didn't kill that Rift Herald off very quickly, and they're able to respond very well. So both of those global objectives are going the way of Immortals, and we'll see how much they can actually get with that Rift Herald. Especially if you can get a kill before you drop it, you can often get 2 turrets.
Absolutely.
But at the very least, you can just walk top and get at least 1.
So Flame and Zig matching those Tiamats quite closely. We just saw Zig push it in now. Flame will do the same. Actually, those guys are pretty held to the bot lane for now. Flame can actually make the teleport play himself. And we'll see top lane being pushed here by Xmithy and the rest of the team as they feel like they'll be able to hold off Zig. They don't know the Stand United time possibly. They're going to do all they can to take down this turret. The first one that they prepped on that rotation.
And the question is, do Immortals actually expend the Rift Herald on this first turret that's like 1 or 2 hits of HP?
That's a good point.
Because like, I actually think that optimally you just want to kill it off now, then try to get a pick or perhaps even just push up and look to use it to pressure the full HP turret, because this one's pretty easy to pick up. So they do grab it, and you have a few minutes to work with the Rift Herald. Lasts like 4 or 5 minutes or something like that.
Yeah.
So they're going to maybe move it towards mid or try to do something, but you know, it's better oftentimes to hold on to it for a little bit to see if you can get a really good opportunity, because you always can just even drop it in base and have it walk down a lane while you pressure the other side of the map.
So many uses.
Yeah.
It's like being in a candy store. It looks like they actually might try to do mid. Ace in the hole onto Ryu. Doesn't actually do that much damage. Just looking to push out. They may be able to bring now Xmithy mid as the bot lane push will drop that turret.
And Ryu is roaming bottom. They're going to actually look to try to pick up Flame here, perhaps. Stand United is up, so they could look to go super aggressive, but
Things in
they may
mid.
just be able to take down the turret. And now, does Smithy actually drop the Rift Herald mid? So that's where they're going to try to push, but there's already 3 P1 members here. We'll see if they can even get a turret.
And they actually have Cody's on top. He's going to have to make a long run down. They may be able to get enough damage on Rift Herald. 1 or 2 shots here as it makes its way towards the turret. Lines up, turret torpedo, connects. And we got 1 shot. Looks like they'll be able to take it out. Yeah, without Cody's son there, it really kind of just falls flat after the one shot. Again, they do have a turret prep, though, and Immortals has been moving quickly to those types of situations.
Yes, I mean, they get a little bit of damage on it, but that's certainly not what you're looking for from the Rift Herald. You definitely want to at least get one turret from that, but they didn't have their members in position, and you know it's not a free turret. You need to be prepped, or you need to have them out of position, or get a kill or something. And now P1 will go straight over to Dragon. This should be theirs.
Setting up a little bit of vision as well. Their pink ward line has, P1's I should say, has always been, you see behind the red, they had one up at top try when they were defending that, and they continuously move it down. It's been hard for Immortals to even get past those mid turrets or mid anywhere. So even using that Rift Herald, they didn't know what was coming from behind the mid turret.
Yeah, I mean, both teams do have a pretty good defensive line of pinks. You know, you can see 4 on Immortals side.
That's true.
You can see at least 3 on P1 side. But to your point, they haven't been able to really kind of crack that vision line and have the safety to feel like they can move around and move more aggressively there. But for now, right back to the mid lane, and Caitlyn is scaling up. This is always time that they are buying for her, and she's such a strong sieging champion that they should be able to at least knock this down, and they're going to continue to try to move around the map and get more.
Chain of Corruption can do a hail of arrows, may stop it. Very fast wild goes from Ole onto Cody's son. Here comes Ryu, charm out to the left, just missing over the shoulder of Pobelter. Very close and nicely timed, trying to get in on that repel, as Sig just misses out. P1 defends. And now they will stop the push from Flames.
And it does look to me like there's some miscommunication on these Stand United, because this is a couple times now where the person who has the Stand United coming in is actually backing off. Oh, nicely done by Flame.
Pops out, puts him in the basket. Have fun, guys. Flames out of there. Does have to use his flash, but plays it quick to draw the pressure down. Allows his team now to maybe crack a little bit of that vision. You see the wards forward. It's all a part of the step and their plan.
Yeah. Played very, very well there. Able to taunt over the side before he got actually taunted up by the Shen.
Cody's son now to clear out mid. Looks like we will have Pobelter going towards top side. 171 to 148 against Ryu in the mid lane, as he was able to pretty much push that in and control it consistently. Now gets the benefit off this top wave here, and we really have not seen a shockwave initiation from that. A taunt hit coming out of P1. It's always been little skirmishes so far. Neither team has really been tested to the max in these fights.
Yeah, I mean, it's been P1 trying a few times, but unable to get it. Now onto Cody's son.
Another little skirmish, and this one's scary when the AD carries all by himself. The shield comes in. Help picks indeed. And Cody's son keeps his life.
It feels like this whole game has just been Cody's son running away. Like, how many times now has his flash been forced, but they're never actually able to go back to the scene of the crime and follow up and take him down without those summoners, so they haven't really been able to capitalize on that pressure, and they need to be better on their engages with this Shen, with the Ahri, and really going in at the exact same time, having the confidence that you can move forward to deliver the Shen into a better spot. Because if he's ultimating onto you and you step backwards, he's not in range for the taunt, so the ultimate's essentially wasted.
It's always a feels bad, man.
Yeah.
You're pinging in. I'm coming. Just keep going. Balls to the wall. We'll see if Cody's son switches up the play if these next fights come in. I mean, he's got a Kha'Zix, a Shen, possibly an Ahri diving into him. We're going to go ahead and delete that Kha'Zix out of that equation. Inori goes down. Great job by Immortals being inside the jungle. Shockwave finally coming out of Pobelter. Ryu's going to get soloed out as he tries to take control of the top lane. Flash as well there, and Immortals finally get that opening in the map they've been looking for.
Yeah, it's a big plays from Immortals. They not only do they get the 2 kills, they get summoners off of both of them there as well. They can be pushing. They're going to be having pressure mid from the Caitlyn. You know, bottom is shoved up by Jarvan, and they can look to try to crack this top inner turret as well.
Fight to the mid lane. Chain of Corruptions on to Cody's son. Here comes the teleport in. They're going to put 3 in the mid. Now Flame might have himself in a bad spot, but he is drawing members down, which means top lane has free time with the 2nd tier turret. Red's being taken by Xmithy, so they deny more resources, and again, slowly prep these turrets for continuous takedown, but P1 has that in mind as well as they gun down mid.
Yeah, it was a really good catch there from Arrow. I mean, that was really the one vulnerability, but they're going in.
Flame lighting things up. Let's see if he stays alive in this one. He's going to get taunted. Flag and drag in as well. Zig under the turret, and Flame's going to get hit with a piercing arrow from Arrow. Rather get killed by Shady in the end. That Ignite ticked down. And the team comes up now 1 kill up 20 minutes in as P1 throws down their own pressure.
I I mean, why didn't Flame just cancel his ultimate and walk out? He kept the ultimate up for the full duration there. He's like, I can't get out. He just press R again.
I'll be there for that answer too.
Yeah, I'm not really sure if he thought he could just survive and keep them locked in with him and try to get an advantage from that. But, you know, I'd like the play to try to push them off the turret and try to keep that up. But he could have just ultimated, canceled that out, and then backed up, and he probably would have accomplished the same thing without dying.
Goes Potion Corruption, gets that in, so he has a little bit of health as he makes these engages. We'll see one more time in mid what started this all off. The lane resets, and Arrow just goes off.
Yeah, he just hits that ultimate right onto Cody Sun, and Cody Sun, he had Flame coming, so that's what gave him the confidence, I think, to step forward, but really did not understand how much damage was going to come out here from Arrow, and then Flame wants to clear out the wave, wants to keep him safe, and let's see, he flag and drag forward. Oh, he actually doesn't even use it. He has the ultimate. He can cancel this at any time. He's trying to hold them in, I guess, and thinking the tower is going to do enough for him, but like, that was just very poorly played from Flame. He could have even QE'd out or just canceled his ultimate, but trying to get too much and overestimating perhaps how much damage the turret was going to do, but no one from his team was actually hitting the other players, so it was only the turret.
Maybe throwing a little glitter at him.
Yeah.
Give Ole some credit. Just over 20 minutes in, and the gold is even. After everything we've seen, these teams have been each other's faces, left and right. And Immortals showing a bit of consistency here in the early game to keep down P1, but now getting caught is going to mix things up, puts Immortals in a sticky situation. And that's going to be Smithy going down. Now P1 using this time. They're going to go ahead and grab another Drake on this game, and that's a Mountain. That'll help with these objectives.
Yeah, it really will. And I mean, we talked about how hard it is to hit that Varus ultimate oftentimes, but Arrow back-to-back, getting picks for his team, nails the ultimates, showing why he was the Spring Split MVP. And yeah, Varus is not the same kind of lethality Varus that he played last split, but it's still very strong.
Yes.
He has the practice on this champion, is executing extremely well.
It's still playing Varus, and a lot of, if you just look down the stats on these teams, match up from lane to lane. A lot of the guys share the same champion pool, but Arrow stands out above Cody Sun, and it's not even in really getting kills. It's being able to get that damage done and then get the kills. They're not finalizing. He's doing over hundreds of damage to do it, so knows where to stand. That helps the team out as well, knowing they don't have to protect Arrow. Good things happen when your AD carry can start a fight like that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, one of the things to me that always made Arrow stand out from some of the other AD carries is not even necessarily his score lines and things like that. It was the fact that he always seems to be standing in the right place. He's always getting the maximum amount of damage out, and that's really what you need from your AD carry. You need a consistent damage threat, someone who's able to threaten the tanks, push people back, and not give up their life. Because if your AD carry goes down, especially later into the game, you often have no chance to actually punch through a lot of these tanky members.
Here it would be up to Ryu and Inori. Can still get some damage out of Shady, but the build is definitely utility in this game. And again, reset to that mid lane. Seems like we're getting a lot of fights here. The middle portion of this is teams losing a bit of vision. Everything kind of tunnels into the mid along with them. And we wait for the next hit. Summoners up on both sides. Some pretty good fights out of this. So it looks like both teams are going to play it safe until they get that engage they want. Really no objectives to play around right now either. You just have to make an unsafe move into the jungle.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Right now, I mean, Zig has the push, so it's actually Immortals that needs to respond and do something. P1 is happy just allowing him to split push, shove up to that turret, and once Flame actually shows bot lane, you could look for P1 to try to make a play with the Stand United, try to start something up with Ahri, with Kha'Zix. Otherwise, they can just establish vision control around the Baron here, try to clear out as many wards, and really start to threaten that area of the map.
Does meet up with Flame for a moment. It's going to be such a ring around the rosy for them in the bot lane. I wonder what P1's going to be able to do with that distraction game and the double teleport. Doesn't look like much right now. Seeing Inori in the back and Smithy in the base means it's a bit of a breather moment here. Baron is up, so the vision wars will start to hover towards the top side of the map as well as Ryu.
And one of the things you can kind of infer from the build here on Zig is that he did want to have a split push focus style, completing the Titanic Hydra first. A lot of people would just get the Tiamat for some wave clear, sit on that.
Right.
But when you fully complete that, you're not as powerful in team fights generally because you're much less tanky, but you are very fast at shoving out waves with that, constantly keeping it pushed up, and utilizing that split push kind of pressure and global map pressure that Shen has.
And we see that flip side in the build of Flame. We might see a dead Cody Sun as well. Wild Growth goes down and Smithy tries to answer back. They call off. They say there's too many as the Stand United comes in. And Pole Belter's just on the top side of the fight, would be routed by Ryu. So they call off, and they're going to have to jockey for Baron position as the Vision Wars begin.
Yeah, a lot of wards around here that they are clearing out. There was a flash ultimate that looked like a whiff from Arrow, but they still get a kill on Cody Sun, and they may be willing to start up the Baron or really try to bait in Immortals and see if they can actually get a fight off that, because they still have some pretty key ultimates with Ryu's up, and good luck to team fight.
Volatile Spiderling, good bit of damage.
Are you looking to flank? They could be starting here.
Hit onto Xmithy. Charm is missed with Repel, but he only has Gromp to go to. The team knows it and gets that Frenzy to get himself out. A little bit of help from Ole as well to get the movement speed. They're going to have to make themselves scarce on this one. Get a reset on the positioning, get that lane pushed on the top side. Everything else is even, so they can stay to play.
Pretty well played by Smithy there, actually, to be able to get out, repelling to the Gromp, sidestepping the Charm. If you go down 26 minutes in as the jungler, Baron is very easily on the table. So it was key that Immortals was able to stay safe during this death timer of Cody Sun. And Cody Sun really has been getting picked on. He either needs to play safer, have someone in his back pocket, or kind of just respect the engage coming out of his opponents, because he's pretty much been without summoners the whole game from them forcing onto him. And now Pole Belter will have to play it a little bit safe as two members show for P1 on top side.
Just about 1,700 gold Arrow is above Cody Sun, so you can see those being the items, as well as the Ninja Tabis for Arrow to make sure he can deny Flame that 0 out damage if he were to get Cataclysm right away. 2,000 gold lead, some of that, like we just said, Arrows alone as he begins to push mid lane and make sure the lanes are prepped up. A few wards in the mid lane keeping Arrow safe as they move up, and it's now Immortals to set up. They've had great hits from Flame. The engages have slowed down, though. We have not seen any engage ball drops from Pole Belter as well into the Shockwave. There's so many possibilities from Immortals, but it seems like they're ready to absorb a fight rather than take one.
Yeah, I mean, they kind of feel like they are, one step behind a little bit. To their credit, they do have very good scaling. Late game team fight with Lulu, Caitlyn, Orianna.
That's true.
Plus ball delivery, so they may be happy to kind of just take it late and play passively. But they had some nice moves, getting the first turret early. Since then, it's been mostly just P1, going for fights onto them, as you said, getting farm advantages, getting kind of side lane advantages, and looking to try to pressure them out.
Back to the mid lane. Starting to be a pretty commonplace here mid-game.
Yeah, I mean, if you were just watching the CLG C9 game, it felt like that game was an ARAM for half the time. CLG just was refusing to go and take down the top inhibitor for what seemed like 20 minutes.
Back and forth. It's almost they're completely set in their way of only getting this scenario, pushing after that scenario. Well, the scenario seems like P1 at Baron. This will move Immortals around. Now they're actually on opposite sides of the map. So they have to figure out a way to get home on this one, and it might be through going down if they don't back right away. They're pushing down the turret. They're going to try to make P1 march to the beat of Immortals' drum here.
I mean, Inori is a little bit low. He took a lot of Baron damage this early on, so Immortals could actually just go to bot lane and try to push up there. I think that would be the better choice instead of getting so aggressive here.
Is happening right now. Zig goes down. The team leaves him. And it looks like Immortals is going to be able to walk out of this. No, gets back charmed on the rappel down. Flame now tries to go in the fight, one after the other into I think I can situation, but they can't. And now a 2-for-1 is the team gets retribution for Zig.
Yeah, they are not on the same page at all. I mean, the bot lane is running out as Flame is diving in by himself there, and now P1 could look to try to pressure around Baron again. They have full vision control here, and they're going to look for an engage.
And they don't even have the Shockwave here. The dissonance is the only thing to really continue to separate them. The glitter lance, if it can reach. Pole Belter gets the help picks, and he looks to get some wards around the side. Actually, bot lane has to be respected here. They got to clean up wards and top.
Yeah, exactly. And Pole Belter is going to have to go to top lane to actually clear up those minions. So now you just take the Infernal. You tried to go for the big ticket prize, which is that Baron, but they weren't successful in that bait. So if you hang around there too long, you'll get nothing. Instead, P1 can go collect an Infernal Dragon, even that up. They have 3 under their belts now here as well. So for that Elder, it's going to be heavily in their favor. And there's just a lot of damage going on to Zig. They fully commit with the ultimates. They're willing to go for that. But at this point, Immortals could just go bot lane, where the lane is already pushing. They could look to threaten that turret, and then Flame is diving in. Look at Pobelter, Ole, and Cody-san. They had no intention of following that up. They were already in the Varus ultimate. So, you know, Flame not on the same page as the rest of his team, which was often one of his problems last split.
Right. It looks so good as well. Going in onto Zig. They take down the tank, the guy that can save everybody else. Yeah. And they got themselves into a real sticky situation.
I mean, it's a good ultimate from Flame if Pobelter still has a shockwave, right? Like, if that's still there. But when you commit most of your big teamfight spells on the Shen to take him down, that is pretty much the end of the fight for you. You have to then kind of respect the fact that the other team is more powerful because they still have those ultimates up.
Well, the ults are back up. Ole, Ardent Sensor there for Cody-san, giving him a bit more assistance, sustain. Each time he gets that shield. We've seen this fight before. Arrow used the Blade of the Rune King immediately to get upper hand in the fight. Cody-san can't move. He cannot fight as well. That's the idea. 7-3, 31 minutes in. We go back to Baron for a jockey of position. Teleport up for Flame and Zig.
And it's not even just the items on Arrow. It's a massive XP advantage over Cody-san now. He's down 2 levels, and it looks like Ryu's going in.
Gets it onto Cody-san. That's going to be him going down. Ryu gets that kill. Wasn't sure if it was going to be Arrow with the shots or Ryu coming in with the Spirit Rush. And it looks like they have the idea of now jockeying for Baron, but pulling Immortals through the jungle, yo-yoing them back and forth until P1 gets the fight they want.
Yeah, they just keep going back to the Baron. They have to clean out this vision once again, but they can threaten it. Remember, they have Zig on the bot side with the Stand United available. So P1, now that J4 has come up, P1's main squad should actually back off and just let Shen pressure this bot lane turret, because that is a guaranteed advantage that you can get right now at no risk to yourself.
And they're telling Flame, go down, come up, go down, come up. You can see him go between Raptors and then back up, trying to stay with the team. Which way does he go? They're going to have to give up the turret if they want to take the fight now, because it already is a loss of something.
Exactly, and Immortals is looking a little bit paralyzed. I mean, Zig can continue to push. Anytime he sees Jarvan or the rest of the team up there, he'll just start pushing again. And now P1 is starting up a 2-man Baron here. It has been spotted out. We'll see if Immortals is going to go for it.
Yeah, the Scrying Orb came through. This is actually a good chance for Immortals to get through and clear out these wards. P1 actually has to disperse. They're losing ground. And Immortals can use a chance to get a breather here. This is good for them to get inside the jungle.
It is, but Ryu could move down to the bot side, and they could look for a 2-man dive onto Flame, which could force Immortals' hand. But here's the play again. Ryu in point blank onto Cody-san. So much damage. And then right after the QSS gets used, Arrow nails his ultimate, and they're able to take down Cody-san once again.
Little walk prediction there inside the structure of the turret. And here comes P1 now, Immortals. Trying to call the Baron bluff.
And we're not doing it. Don't worry. There yet. They're going to go for a steal. Let's see if it happens.
Ryu's in, throws it over. Nori's going to take Baron away from Immortals. Can they continue to go for the fight? Spear Rush used by Ryu, and they're going to try to route down the outside. They do not have a mid lane wave to push in, so Immortals should have a chance to recuperate here. But they are going to hold them off to the left. P1's now going to go down mid lane with the help of Ryu pushing the wave.
And P1's just trying to hold them there. Smithy going to get caught out. They're delaying their base while the mid lane is being shoved up, and they're going to be able to pressure down this turret. Ryu escorting that wave in now with the Baron buff, with the red buff, and they'll get at least this tier 2 right off the bat. And that was super risky from Immortals, but they felt like they were so behind in tempo they couldn't answer the Shen, and they needed to try something, but Inori comes up with a steal.
Very, very big. Immortals trying to use that split second. They got in, got the vision, tried to use the vision, and P1 was able to latch down.
They certainly were, and now for P1, you just wait for the Shen to push in the wave. You don't need to do anything crazy. The only way you kind of lose out in this situation is if your 4-man squad gets engaged on before Shen has pressure. So Shen now has that Baron wave almost at the turret. Multiple members must come down. As to show here, you pressure the mid lane turret. You go back and forth like that over and over, and look to do that damage.
Interesting engage. Could have got more damage on the turret, but they want damage onto Flame so he can't defend it. Inori gets zeroed out. One more ball move. And Inori does go down. A few highs, a few lows. It's a mix of a game. It's a mix of a game.
I mean, he just straight up stepped on the trap. I guess he had his sunglasses on or something. Couldn't see.
Hit onto Ryu. Ryu gets out with a Spear Rush. Flame's trying to get... Flame is hit. trying to dodge and serpentine his way out of a charm, gets himself a wild growth and to safety. But now you're looking at an 8,000 gold lead, 7,000. As it ticks up here for Immortals. A shot over to Ryu, a sliver of health as the team limps away, trying to guard him. A teleport now coming in for Flame. Home guard's gonna be the speed. Does he have, oh,
nice
stops immediately by the arrow of Arrow.
That was actually so well timed. And knocking off the home guards there, he loses his move speed from coming out of the well, and that really did stop it. But here is again from Inori. No vision until just now. Ryu went in to get his jungler vision, and then the jump over and the smite, and that was actually a pretty late smite from Smithy. It was down to 400, and he could have smite a little bit earlier than that and taken it out, and that would have been a massive change in this game because it is now fully in P1's control. Elder is spawning, mid lane inhib is down, there's pressure across the map for P1, and remember, they have taken more dragons, so if they get this Elder, they're going to be ridiculously strong.
Just to think the way that Baron played out, having a Kha'Zix and an Ahri couldn't be more perfect. If Ahri didn't like it, I'm back out. Yeah, we like it, Kha'Zix jump in. Unfortunate for Immortals to have that exact scenario in front of them when they tried for it. Elder Drake now here, 35 minutes in. I don't know if it can be contested, but they might just try.
And that's why so many teams try to send someone over to zone out the jungler to stop them from making a 50-50. And it's why P1 right now is backing up, because they don't want to allow them to just have this 50-50. But Immortals is moving in to try to take it themselves. We'll see if they go for the smite fight.
And Nori in there. 4,400 HP still. Cody-san very low. Ryu now trying to get out of the fight. Cody-san ace in the hole. Again, won't take down Ryu right away, but that's going to be Smithy falling. That means smite over to P1. A 3 Drake Elder Dragon. They lock it down, and now they're looking for more kills. Shockwave to stop back Arrow. Forces the flash, but Honori's trying to get in. Cannot find Pole Belter or the isolation as they just push off Immortals. Now looking for more outer turrets.
Yeah, and P1 could just go and take even this bottom inhibitor, which is exposed right now. They could look to pressure mid as well as the super minions are coming in. So they're pushing in both waves. You can at least get the bottom inhibitor, but then you could potentially threaten to Ed with the Elder buff and the super minions coming in mid.
No mana onto Pole Belter. He's forced to go back, but he's got the top wave pushing out. Almost 5,000 gold on the Baron power play for P1. Quite high on the charts for what we usually see here, and 9-4. They haven't even been doing much killing in this game. The teams, when they do find each other, get a few hits, blow a flash, and then work around that. P1 has just had the better deal on each end of the deal, sorry.
Yeah, they really have, and they're setting this up very intelligently, having Ryu escort in the mid lane wave, creating pressure. You make someone answer those super minions, then you take an odd man fight. Never allow your opponents to have an even fight when you have the advantage.
Almost a bait to one. Zig feels comfortable getting up, only a few more shots. Smithy comes up, just about half HP for him. His minions already onto the Nexus turrets. Got about 30 seconds on that mid inhib before it does come back up. And it looks like the team knows it as well. Top lane has been prepped. P1 has so many things in order for themselves right now. It'll be a few fights they lose before Immortals even gains ground again.
Exactly. I mean, Shen is shoving in the bot lane wave, going to be constantly pushing up these minions, threatening the Nexus turrets, so that you non-stop have to have Pole Belter or Cody-san, back there responding to those minions, and the rest of the team can move forward and pressure turrets and get damage done. They are just corralling them at this point. I mean, they're moving in from all sides. Two men have to go bot to answer Zig. He's going to keep moving up, keep defending those turrets, and Ryu, very difficult to answer as well. Plus, if your three-man squad that's defending the top lane turret moves too far forward, the Shen and the Ahri can come and actually flank and just go for a collapse and a dive.
Clearing out parties of 3, making sure Cody-san stays on the back line. They need his DPS throughout this fight. Still trying to get the locket on shields on the Ardent Sensor. More for him. Finally picks up a little bit of armor pen, so he can start tearing through Zig, as he has been on the front line of these fights.
Yeah, it's interesting to see that Arrow is actually not going to build any armor pen in his build whatsoever, despite the fact that Flame is picking up armor. There's already 2 armor items, well, 1.5 if you want to say on Smithy here too, but not really concerned with that. Looks like he's probably going to be building towards a PD, and he'll be sitting on that for his full build. which is pretty atypical against any game where there is a fair bit of armor. You generally do want to go for that Lord Dominix in a time like this. So one thing that you can say about the Phantom Dancer over that armor pen is actually the damage reduction that it offers is pretty underrated, because you have the flat damage reduction from the PD passive, you have Blade of Ruin King lifesteal, you have Tabbies which make you more tanky, and you have that Moth. So you actually do become relatively tanky despite their strong amount of dive. So if they are diving in on you, you have KD to protect you, and then you have a fair bit of kind of strength in and of yourself.
He realizes that damage that Flame can do right now. Zig hovering around. I think somebody just caught an eye of him on the side of Immortals. They have turned away from the fight towards Baron, and he has a super minion on that turret. 2 super minions alone will take down a Nexus turret. You have a Zig and 2 super minions. You're definitely going to be taking that one down, even if the wave spawns. He'll take hits from Flame, but I don't think he's going to turn away before that turret goes down. Now it's the choice of the rest of Immortals. What do they do?
And there's honestly, like, there's no real answer to Zig. He can just go and start hitting the mid lane inhibitor now, and you need to send a second member back from Immortals to actually deal with him. Flame does not really do enough on his own, so he's going to keep being so annoying with this, and P1 can eventually look to start up that Baron or bait someone in, but they have all the cards in their hands.
And someone like Zig, he has immensely stepped up from a position he was in previously on previous teams. Now seeing him coming through P1, playing Kled in a completely different style, now Shen in a completely different style, shows that he has both ends of that spectrum and continues to keep the team in this game from a very supportive top lane position. Nice Spirit Rush, getting the Shockwave out of Pobelter. Ace in the Hole is now used. Immortals down 2 ultimates before they even start the fight. Ryu's is down, and so is Arrows, so looks like we're even on that.
And this is also pretty smart here from Zig. As soon as the rest of the team backs off, he moves towards the bottom side of the base, so we can hopefully outrun this. We'll see if he's able to do so, and waits until the ultimate's used, then flashes away. P1's already back on the Baron. He can stand united in. This should be a Phoenix 1 Baron.
They may pull off for the fight. They do see Xmithy. They don't want him in for the repel. He's going to try anyways. 2,300 HP, a little too early, but he had to get in. There was no vision. There's not much you can do at that point, and Xmithy goes for broke.
Yeah, he had to try for it. No real choice there in Smithy's shoes, but P1 makes a smart play. They turn, they eliminate the chance of 50-50, and that's something that Immortals failed to do earlier when they gave that chance over to Inori, and ever since then, it's really been all P1.
Now it's closing out the game, not giving your opponent respect, in a good way, but knowing that you can take them in a fight and taking that fight. Let's see if P1 can continue to pressure down. Zig's been basically setting that up, so I can't see all 5 of P1 being scared coming into this base now.
Yeah, I mean, one thing definitely going for Immortals is the fact that Pobelter is super farmed. He has his death cap. He's 3-0. He's level 18. Like, if he can hit a really good Shockwave, you have a chance, right? You have a super farmed Orianna. You have a Caitlyn who's getting to very late game status, and you're depending on these guys to come up big. You need to make a big play now to stay alive in this game.
It's going to have to be a huge hit. You wish you could flash forward and make that Shockwave, but you know it's probably going to have to be a flash out at some point with the power of P1 right now. And Immortals towards the top side. No, it's the last turret. They could hover around.
Which is why you have to depend on someone like Flame to set up that engage for you. And it's why Immortals can't just sit back, because P1 have been bleeding them out. Immortals need to look for that play and go for it. Even if it's that 5% chance, it's better than the kind of 0% chance of winning when you actually are just sitting back and letting them push you in from all sides.
I mean, the scenario is they're at the turret, but they're really not, right? It just went down. There was no retaliation. Something has to be done. This inhibitor will fall. Minions are going to be pouring in from every lane as P1 looks at the last Nexus turret.
And they're finally going in on Arrow.
Flame gets hit, taunts it up. The rest of the team pulling back, not having the Shockwave come in yet. There's an entire team, but it cannot get Pobelter close enough to get that Shockwave in. And it looks like now they defend the Nexus. The members of P1 looking for more kills. That's going to be Ole going down. Cody Sun, Xmithy, and Pobelter on the backside of this one. And the Nexus turret down to 10% HP. One last shot for P1, and they take game 1 over Immortals.
Yeah, well-played game from P1. Immortals just not really able to get anything going this time. And P1 made it look pretty easy. You know, they just slowly kind of pushed them out. They controlled the side lanes, and it was a well-executed game. Even in that last fight, Pobelter, despite the good setup from Flame, he got zoned out by Ryu and was never actually able to step forward and nail that Shockwave. So P1 definitely playing to their win conditions. played it slow, played it well.
Played it very well. Looking at that bot lane, we talked about Cody Sun and Ole possibly stepping up where you're going against that MVP, and now Shady that stepped in to see what they can do on this team. 5-0-7 and 4-0-9 from the bot lane. A lot of strength coming out of there for P1. And as we said, Zig 0-1 and 8 can play all of those styles. We've seen it before. The crazy Kled and the kind of reserve Shen.
Yeah, I think they played very well. Arrow definitely, the big star of this game, hitting so many Varus ultimates that got them those mid-game picks and being able to get that in. Yeah, Nori with the steal on Baron was also massive. And, they really were able to just play it very intelligently. I thought that their builds, their game plan were all very smart, from the early Titanic Hydra and the kind of commitment to split push on the Shen, just not allowing J4 to really group and do what he wants to do.
Strong showing there from P1 to start things off. We're going to throw it over to Dash and Zyrene to see what they make of that game.
Thank you very much, Riv. Phoenix 1 coming out top here in game 1. But let's look at how they did it, because I think it was a very slow bleed, right? Or at least that's the way it felt, and they kind of mentioned that it looked clean from Phoenix 1 from start to finish and that they had control of the game for the majority of it. Before we get into the game itself, though, continuing with the theme of week 1, roster moves and team identity, right? Let's look at Immortals through that microscope, given the fact that they've brought Smithy in, but in general, this is a Flame team, right? And Flame we typically look at as a guy who wants to be splitting, who wants to be dominating in the top lane, not necessarily grouping and fighting.
Yeah, I was a little confused for Immortals in the champion select, because Phoenix 1 picked the Shen. You could pick the Fiora into it, which just sounds like a great Flame champion to me, and you can 4-1 split push with it. I thought that would have been like maybe a really good suit for the team, but they went with the Jarvan-Orianna combo, which we almost never saw this game. And one of Immortals' biggest issues during spring was they couldn't really group up and have Flame be on the same page, so they eventually went to split pushing because it was like the easier thing for the team to naturally fall into. So they picked a team fighting comp, but it doesn't solve any of their issues because they don't play it well in the slightest.
Right. In the context of it being week 1 and the fact that this team hasn't had, months of practice together, it does make sense to go for something that should be easily executable in that, okay, Jarvan ult, Orianna ult, that's how we fight. That's our win condition. But if you can't even execute on that, clearly we have an issue.
Exactly. And Phoenix 1's comp is meant to split you up with the split pushing Shen, which will have 2 globals and can always kind of push you around the map and make sure that there's an unanswerable global in a side lane. But they also have a lot of pick potential, and this against scattered teams is perfect, right? You have the Ahri charm, you have ways to catch people out and run them down with Karma. So I think that this from Phoenix 1 kind of actually preys on Immortal as a team comp, or as at least their players together, because they are not on the same page, and this exploits that very heavily.
Some peculiarities in the draft here for Immortal, specifically this Galio ban coming in last as well after seeing the Renekton ban. So therefore, Fiora we know will be on the table. Why not leave the Galio up and say, hey, you can have it, we'll pick Flame into that matchup and let him run wild with it.
Yeah, I still feel like the Shen and the Galio, the 2 big globals for people in side lanes, 2 really great champions that you can pick Fiora into if you want to do it, but you do risk having a carry like Ryu who wants to dive, or Arrow who you want to dive yourself, get some type of damage reduction or shield on them. So I do feel like those 2 champions in the top lane are pretty big issues. So I don't blame them for banning the Galio out. I just kind of question why they didn't pick the Fiora, because I think it's better stylistically for the team.
Absolutely. Let's dive into some gameplay. 28-40 into the game. This is a 2-for-1 in favor of Phoenix 1 in the mid lane yet again. But this was peculiar to me because, again, Immortals, looks like this is the fight you want to take, 5v5.
Yeah, you can blow up Zig here, or get his flash, or get him to taunt away, and he's no threat without using Shockwave. But then Flame goes in. Arrow has no flash. Arrow has no flash. Go in, Jarvan ulti him, and get the Shockwave down on where he is, and he's standing next to another person afterwards. That should be a very easy call to make after you push away Zig and you don't use Shockwave on him. So it felt like they were just trying to get something instead of go for the right fight there.
Right, it felt frantic, didn't look like they understood exactly how they're supposed to win the game. Once again, Jarvan using his flash defensively after EQing in, as opposed to just flash ult with the Orianna ball on your head.
Yeah, it was actually a really good ultimate there from Arrow, but I do feel like the engage was too late at that point, so it's kind of like failures all around for Immortals there.
All right, but now let's push ahead to the Baron steal, because once again, Immortals on the front foot. They're the ones dictating the pace of the game here. Start up this Baron, a blind steal from Ryu and Inari.
And this is something that Immortals are not expecting in the slightest, because you would set up and turn in a heartbeat with a team fight composition onto this team, but the fact that that was completely blind, Ryu's like, they're in this area, I don't want to check through that Caitlyn trap line, because you could step on one of them as you go through the brush. I'm just going to go over the wall, risk it. I have multiple Ahri ultimates, or charges of it, and he just goes in, and Inori's like, oh, it's 2K? Let's put threat on Xmithie, put pressure on him, and then Inori jumps in with only the pressure of having to steal and not worry about getting burst down like Xmithie did in the Smite fight.
Now, of course, there is some element of luck there, as it always is with Baron steals. And so for Phoenix 1, you're going to be coming away from this game saying, hey, we were this close to giving away a Baron and maybe the game going the other direction. So for some things for them to work on looking towards game 2. But I want to now flip back to Immortals, since this is the one with the big roster adjustment, and look at our final fight of the game. And understanding that they're behind at this point and that this is probably an unlikely win for them, even now the execution doesn't quite seem to be there.
Exactly. But that's right there. It's like, where's Orianna Ball? Where's Pobelter's Orianna Ball? He's off on the left side. Where's the Shockwave? He's got it up. I mean, the members
He's got Flash too.
Exactly. I know the members of Phoenix 1 have Flash available, and you should really be using the Jarvan ultimate when they don't. But that's still an opportunity. That's an easy win right there. That's like, that looks like a delicious ultimate for me. I will take that, put the pressure on them to outplay with a Flash. But they weren't doing that, because you can throw those ultimates out, look for those picks or those fights, and like the previous fight that we had seen before, Arrow didn't have Flash then. You're never going to find a better opportunity.
Yeah, exactly. But a lot of that, to me, feels expected for week 1. Again, not necessarily giving an excuse to it, because it's a loss either way. But given the fact that this team isn't super practiced, and contrary to Dardoch, this team is still dealing with communication issues, whereas Dardoch is now on the all-English-speaking team, you can definitely see that Immortals is still going to have somewhat of an uphill climb in terms of getting to that well-oiled machine kind of state that we like to talk about.
Yeah, Immortals definitely have a lot of work to do, figuring out their identity. Are they a split push team? Are they a team fight team? That's really what we're looking for here, because they added Xmithie, but I don't think it's stylistically going to change them too much, except for they don't have that kind of risk in the jungle, but it's still Xmithie giving up some early deaths too.
Now, player of the game is going to go to Arrow here for hitting a lot of clutch ultimates, also being deathless throughout the game, right alongside Shady as his support.
And there were some question marks about Shady in particular. The guy ended with 100% kill participation in this game, supporting Arrow, and really saving him a few times with some clutch Karma shields. And I think that Shady had a lot of kind of criticism because he came in to replace Stunt, who seemed fine, but the team played with Shady, and they made that decision saying, this guy hasn't shown you what he's made of yet. All he's done against is play TSM, C9, and playoffs, so he's always had pressure on him, and he was a rookie.
Yeah,
right?
those are huge matchups.
This guy comes in with literally a week of regular season play and then playoffs under his belt. He's one of the newest players to the LCS,
exactly.
And so we have to watch him grow.
It'll be a lot of fun to watch him grow alongside our Spring Split MVP. Now, we have to step away for a quick second. When we return, we'll see if Immortals can even up the score against Phoenix 1. Game 2 coming up after the break.
Immortals being inside the jungle. Shockwave finally coming out of Pobelter. Ryu's gonna get soloed. Ow!
But he's no kill. Elisa's on your right. Okay.
Elisa's behind us.
I'm coming. I'm slow. I'm here. I'm behind Elise.
I'm here.
What, instead of getting so aggressive here,
Is happening right now. Zig goes down. The team leaves him. And it looks like Immortals is going to be able to walk out of this. No, gets back charmed on the rappel down. Flame now tries to go in the fight, one after the other. And it looks like now they defend the Nexus. The members of P1 looking for more kills. That's going to be Ole going down. Cody's son, Xmithie, and Pobelter on the backside of this one. And the Nexus turret down to 10% HP. One last shot for P1. And they take game 1 over Immortals.